Nice to see you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this another edition of the Knowledge Club, and thank you for coming despite the weather and all the roadblocks and the traffic jams that it creates.
Despite Wimbledon.
Sorry?
Despite Wimbledon. Yeah.
We're going to have a very interesting talk today by Saba Naqvi, a highly educated person. She is the political editor of the Outlook magazine. She is specialized in politics and covered a large number of elections all over India, travelled widely. She is also into identity issues and current affairs. She is a Reuters Fellow from Oxford and a Jefferson Fellow from the East-West University in Honolulu, Hawaii. And she covers things so well. This book that she's written called Capital Conquest is a book worth reading. Now, what it really covers is that, and this reminds me of the time when the Lok Sabha elections were taking place, and suddenly there was this heated discussion which Arnab Goswami has in his ops room, and the discussion was going on, and toward the later part of the evening, about 7:30, when the election should have actually finished, then late Vinod Mehta, who was the editor of Outlook magazine, he came up with something which really struck everybody. He said something is happening. Something is happening because the queues are so long for voting that they've extended the voting time. What exactly is happening? And that is the time that Aam Aadmi Party surfaced. They said there's a collusion between the BJP and the Congress, and we want a different path, and the people voted for them. Even a guy like me, who very rarely voted in my life, I also went across and voted for them. They came into power, stayed for those 49 days or so, and then they exited. And then came the assembly elections, and the BJP put all their might into it. I mean, they did everything that you can think of. Vilification campaigns. How has this chap got 2 crores? Where does it come from? Where is it? They themselves are into thousands of crores. And they've done this and they've done that, this, that and the other. Then all the ministers were, given very specific areas to do get the votes up. And Prime Minister himself descended on to Delhi and gave all his talks and so on. And they wiped out the opposition. I mean, Congress 0, BJP, they said they need a 3-wheeler scooter to come to the assembly. That's the total number of seats that they got. So what Saba has done is, she's analyzed all this in this book, and also she's going to give us some idea of what is in store for the Delhi citizen based on what she calls sources. So let's hear from her. Saba, all yours.
So delighted to be here. It's very kind of General Uban to have phoned me up, and he called me in the, actually my publishers are also here. One of the remarkable things about this book, which I hope many of you will buy, is that we did it so quickly. The elections were over and I got down to writing the book within a month, and Hachette India, they also brought it out at a remarkable speed for an Indian publisher. The main thing why it was possible for me to do so is because I had covered everything linked to the Aam Aadmi Party. I'm the political editor of Outlook magazine. So I cover national politics. My focus has mostly been on the Bharatiya Janata Party. But because I'm a citizen of Delhi, I had covered the Anna movement, and I knew many of the people who had joined Arvind, who joined the Aam Aadmi Party. And then I covered the rallies as a citizen of Delhi. So I think the main thing you'll find is that this is not this is a first-hand account of what happened. I've spoken to the people, the players, Arvind himself, Prashant, Yoginder Yadav, all of that. So I hope I can encourage all of you to get a copy of the book. The first thing I'd like to say that as a journalist, a good journalist, when you cover something, when you cover any phenomena, any political party, it is useful to try and look at things from their point of view. Be it the BJP, you must understand their mind. You can't, I mean, somebody who's covering things as opposed to just commenting on them. Now I do both. I do a lot of commentary, but my discipline has been also meeting the people and getting the sources. So I know the players involved in what I write about. As I've become more senior, the commentary gets into the whole play. But the main thing is that you must understand how the subject of your coverage thinks. That's how you get a good point, insight into them. So I think General Uban wanted me to explain what is the Aam Aadmi Party. I think many of you are citizens of Delhi, so you would all know that it all began in 2011 with the Anna Hazare movement, which began after the Commonwealth Games scam, which is when you'll find the details in the book. At that stage, Arvind Kejriwal was a Magsaysay award-winning RTI campaigner. He had run many campaigns against corruption in the power sector and various other campaigns, and he was frustrated that how do I now focus on this huge scam called the Commonwealth Games scam. So he actually, that is why he is somebody who is there to watch out for, whatever be your opinion on him, but it's a very unusual mind. He sat there and he thought of that there was this man called Anna Hazare who had come to one of our anti-corruption meetings. He thought of Anna Hazare. He contacted Baba Ramdev. He contacted Sri Ravi Shankar, one by one. A particular date was set for this protest to begin in Delhi. He had used meanwhile all his Magsaysay award money into his foundation called Parivartan. So the volunteers of that were fanning out and doing this. Anyway, the Anna Hazare movement began, which many of you would know about. In ideological terms, the Aam Aadmi Party is very interesting because it gets a catalyst from the right forces which come from the right of the political spectrum. The movement began with the foot soldiers of Baba Ramdev. I saw that, I kept on going there. When I would go to those meetings, and I would be given pamphlets on cow urine, on the marvels of cow urine. The RSS, I would get SMS as a journalist from the RSS saying we are sending our volunteers over there. That movement was full of people from the RSS, from Baba Ramdev, stormtroopers. At one stage of it, as it grew bigger and bigger, they were all there. At that time, the Congress was in power. It hit the Congress very, very badly at that stage. But then another process. This is when the movement moves from the right to the to the left. Another process begins when, at the end of it all, a section of that India Against Corruption decides to form a political party. And that is when Mr. Kejriwal, who was an activist to begin with, recognizes that traditional politics demands that he will always, that he be more left-wing in his approach. In any case, he had a point about corruption in the power sector. He had a point, these are very deeply ingrained belief systems in him. So when the party is formed, when they decide to join politics, there is a break with the Baba Ramdev, Kiran Bedi, Anna Hazare himself. So they all move out. And just to refresh your memory, Mr. Kejriwal begins his political innings with 2 or 3 things. One of them is a campaign against the BSES, owned by the Ambanis. And at that time, he gets blacked out by sections of the media in the middle of a press conference. It was all blacked out. So that is, here you have ideological shifts from the left to the right. So I have asked Mr. Kejriwal, I have interviewed him quite a few times during the Anna movement, and then recently after the elections were won, as a journalist I asked him that what is the important issue for you? I think Mr. Kejriwal today believes that that corruption is part of the larger issue. The issue, according to him, is also prices and social change, as he said. And the campaign that he ran in Delhi in this time, which many of us covered, which I went to, I think many people now voted for him. If you look at the statistics, I want to read out the statistics of the social base that voted for Mr. Kejriwal, because I don't know how many of you voted and what was the percentage, but I've broken it down in this book. So I'll just, because that is itself quite revealing. I'll just read it out. In the poorer sections, AAP got 66% of the vote against 22% for the BJP. Among the middle class, the whole middle class we are taking here, 51% against 31% for the BJP. Now, but as you get richer and richer, the margin of victory becomes less and less for Aam Aadmi Party. So let's begin with the understanding that they believe that their vote share is essentially the poor. So when you get to the upper classes, then you have AAP got 47% of the vote against 43% for the Bharatiya Janata Party, which means that even among the rich, they led in this election, but with a smaller margin. But it was completely conclusive for the poorer sections of society. So why did this happen and how did this happen? You had the machinery of the Bharatiya Janata Party, you had a huge campaign, very expensive campaign being run by them. And now, I don't think I'll get into the mistakes that the BJP made. It's been written about, I've written about it, we've all written about it. But perhaps I could share with you the logistics of the campaign run by the Aam Aadmi Party, because it is different from on one very, very simple basis, which is, in my experience of covering politics, which is 20 years, you know, the idea of the political worker and the cadre, they always have a transactional relationship with the parent party. You will get something in return, you work for the party. Half the problems that you're seeing, I mean, when corruption cases come up, is because people have some expectation of getting something for putting it out there. Now the AAP model works on something called volunteerism, which fundamentally has right now only worked in Delhi, which is that all of these people became very strong followers of Mr. Kejriwal. They were ifs also, they went away with him, but in spite of everything, there is still a very, very strong band that surrounds him. Now, as political cadre, also the people around him are very, very interesting, because they are not like traditional party workers or ideologues that I have seen from the left and the right. Many of them are technocrats, they are IITians, one of the key guys worked in Apple Computers, somebody has worked in the Bangalore IT sector. They combine this idea of building a base among the poor with very, very strong ideas of patriotism and nationalism. So some of them greet each other with Jai Hind. So even in this, there is this it's not that intellectual left thinking that composes the art. It's a very different kind of vocabulary. It's a very different kind of idiom. It's a combination of patriotism with ideas that the poor, with radical ideas which would be left-wing in their orientation. I think that's one of the things. So this volunteer corps that existed, they were able to do that very successfully. And I think the details of it, you'll find it in one of the chapters, that how, because you simply can't just have good intentions and win an election. You have to have people in the polling booths, you have to have the cadre out there. So from the very beginning on a small scale, they were very committed to building a cadre which would be out there and fight for them. And the other thing, which again you will find in the book, is how was the campaign done? I mean, I think most of you would be surprised to learn that the advertising campaign that they ran during the Delhi election was done on the laptop of a 26-year-old volunteer sitting in Arvind's house. They used to sit and write up the scripts themselves. The posters that they put up then, they used Google Maps to determine where crowds are more and what time people travel for their radio ads, so that they couldn't book as many as the BJP could. So they were very innovative. They had these 20-year-old, 26-year-old kids dancing all over the city. They attracted a certain kind of youngster who got very enthused by it all. And as we all know, this was a historic mandate. It really was not the matter of defeat or victory. It was historic what they did. Unprecedented except perhaps the scale of the victory in Sikkim. And so now but immediately after power, we've all seen the problems in the Aam Aadmi Party, Prashant Bhushan, Yogendra Yadav, all of them leaving. And I personally believe that people as talented and articulate as Prashant and Yogendra, their departure cannot be a good thing in the long run. But ultimately, we must recognize, and I think anybody who imagines that Aam Aadmi Party is built around a leader. It is built around Arvind Kejriwal in a very, very strong way. He is the person who has planned the Anna movement. He is the person who sat and wrote the advertising campaigns with these kids. He is the one who they follow. He's not just the face of it. He's the one who plans everything. All these ideas on electricity, water, agree with it or not agree, they all come from Arvind's own past as a social worker. They're very, very few. Often people forget that he won the Magsaysay Award for his RTI campaign. So he knows how to look at legislation. There are many, I'm just describing him to you. I'm not endorsing him or not, but I'm just saying we must understand very clearly that Mr. Kejriwal has not just turned out to be a very good campaigner because he speaks directly, but he's also entirely the campaign brains behind this party. He's helped out and he inspires others to join him, but very much more so than I've seen in other political parties where things are sort of divided up. In this one, there is no doubt in my mind, Anna movement, to the entire thrust of the campaign, to the decisions to move in this direction or to that. The decisions have often been very rash also. I mean, there have been mistakes because one man takes the call, whether it is to sleep on a pavement, whether it is to resign very quickly. He upset so many of his cadres when he resigned in the first term, you know. But so this is the fundamental structure of the Aam Aadmi Party that I think it's important to understand. And you know, I was in Oxford just now, and then I was in Paris. I've been called to speak at the university, and there's one question that people kept asking me. Those are the India studies people. That they kept asking, but what are the national plans of the Aam Aadmi Party? I don't think that it's even realistic to think in those terms. And I think it was always a mistake to think, because how can a party with such limited resources, I mean, by the time they came to the fighting the Delhi election, there they had collected 60 crores. That's it. From the time of their foundation to now, which is, I mean, you buy 2 houses in Zorbag or something, that is their basis of their funding. So they had collected 60 crores through on their website or whatever. But I think the only state where they have a plan to seriously go and make a go for it is Punjab. Yesterday, one of their former journalist called Ashish Khaitan has gone to Gujarat. But in all seriousness, the only state where they have a chance, where they're going to go and is going to be the state of Punjab. And they have sent out the team which scanned Delhi, which planned Delhi. And I just want to share with you a detail. One of the boys who almost ran the Delhi campaign was a 26-year-old boy called Durgesh Pandey. His name is in the book. He was giving his IAS examination. He was studying for that.